Well, let's get this show on the road. I'm super excited to be here today. My name is David Tolkien. I am the Director of Business Development here at Shop-Ware. Um, I know many of you as I've been in this space for a while, and we have an amazing group of very distinguished shop owners with us today for today's Bosch user group. Today's topic, as you know, is 100 excuses not to switch to Shop-Ware and why they don't matter. Today's goal is really to talk about some of the challenges that everyone has faced when switching a shop management system and sort of pulling the guts out of your business and replacing them with something else, and the change and sometimes frustration and challenges that come along with that. The idea is to showcase that there are other shops that have faced that are facing challenges and issues and perhaps reasons that are delaying the switch or prohibiting them or discouraging them from switching over to Shop-Ware. And we want to talk to some people in the space who have already made that move and learn a little bit about what they went through. Housekeeping issues. Yes, this is being recorded and will be available later. If you have questions, please put them into the Q&A, which is down at the bottom of your screen, and we will make sure to get to them. Other than that, we can get started. So without further ado, I'll introduce our group of people here today. So first we have Frank Scandura of Frank's European Service in Las Vegas. I had the benefit of visiting his shop actually just a couple months ago down in Vegas with Carolyn Cocolette. So amazing operation. Those lifts that you're using to bring up the Sprinter vans, I thought those are pretty awesome to see. Those are cool. So Frank has over 40 years of automotive experience and over 25 years of experience as a service center entrepreneur. He's most known, obviously, for his expertise in European vehicles, and he has authored a book, How to Take Care of Your Vehicle So It Will Take Care of You. As Frank has said many times before, he feels very strongly that automotive service experience should not be difficult or intimidating or overwhelming for the end user, but rather based on facts and the evidence of those facts so that customers can make informed decisions. That actually resonates with me a lot because I think a lot of the challenges you all face is that you're sort of the bearer of bad news and it's your fault that things are responding in that way. And that's not in fact the case. As Carolyn always says, like, you're here to help. So I think that's really important. I think it's really showcased in the way that Frank approaches, his business and in what he does in and around the aftermarket. He is a John Maxwell certified coach and speaker and trainer, a Dave Ramsey Financial Peace University facilitator. In his free time, him and his wife Deborah enjoy remodeling their house and hanging out with their grandkids. They're also very active in their local church as well as many other community services. So we're really glad to have Frank here today. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Bill DeBoer of DeBoer's Auto in Hamburg, New Jersey. I actually knew Bill from way back and a long time ago at another employment and then didn't talk for a decade, and now we're back here again. So it's good to be reunited. He is the co-owner and vice president of DeBoer's Auto in Hamburg, New Jersey. As the company's general manager, he's responsible for bringing new innovations to the daily operations. And, in the short time that I've reacquainted with him, he's very much focused on, bridging that gap and bringing high-tech auto repair sort of, into the forefront of his shop where they've been for a long time. He's really been able to fuse his passion for technology and cars with a certificate in automotive technology. He also has a BS in business management from Penn State. He currently works at a business that I believe his father founded over 30 decades ago. He's an accredited automotive manager from AMI, as well as a certified master dealer from the National Automotive Dealers Association. When he's not, working at the shop or helping out Shop-Ware with webinars, he is very active. He's actually a pilot, so he flies and he does a lot of volunteering at the ski mountain where he's been a patroller for over a decade. So, Bill, thanks. Glad to have you here as well.
Thanks. Thank you, David.
Alex Whitney from Duluth, Georgia. Alex is a Atlanta native. I too love Atlanta. It's been a while since I've had a varsity dog, but I will be returning shortly, hopefully, for a varsity dog and Crush Orange, one of my favorite places to go when I'm there. His shop has had thousands of satisfied customers for over 40 years, and he really sets the standard for quality European automotive service. He takes pride in employing some of the best techs in the business, and a lot of his, and I think this is really great, a lot of his former employees have gone on to own and start their own shops, which I think is a great testament to, to his leadership and his ability to run a business. Also worth noting is that Alex does hold a distinction of being the number 7 Bosch Car Center. So I think that's pretty impressive. So, if anyone says, oh, well, back in the day, like, he's certainly the one that can use that term freely and effectively. So, I don't think anyone can really say, well, before you were here. So he'll bring that to the table for us today as well. And then lastly, we have Mark Bender of Harmony Motor Works in Bellingham, Washington. Mark started his shop, off as a one-person shop after he was an apprentice in Germany for over, this is over 35 years ago, but basically started with oh, sorry to age you. Now everyone knows that you're 37. And he's progressed now into a 10-person workshop. He's really passionate, like most of the people here, about technology and business development. He's been in the Bosch network for over 25 years and really helped develop a forward-thinking business, capable of bringing it into the future. And I think that's one of the perspectives that we'll talk about today as, how do I say this? One of our more senior members of the panel talking about, what his shop looks like moving into the future. I think that's really important. So thanks, Mark, for being here. Really excited to have you. And with that, we're really just going to get into it. And so the way that this is going to work is we are going to just, I'm going to rally off some questions. I encourage anybody and everyone from the audience to chime in and give us their perspective on things. But we're really going to try and address what I did here for this webinar was to speak both with the Shop-Ware sales team as well as with a lot of the Bosch reps that have spoken to actual shops that are having challenges right now. And, we're going to get into these questions. So the first one's going to be for Frank and Mark. We're just going to say excuses because that's what we're talking about today. Excuses, right? Like, let's just call it what it is. So one of the first things we're going to talk about is, I don't want to switch over. I'm getting older. I'm really not looking for change. What we're using right now is working. It's getting the job done. And I'm really just looking for exit strategy right now. I'm not looking to make a big disruption to my shop. And therefore, I'm just going to stay with what I'm using until the end. And that's that. And therefore, I don't want to switch over. Thoughts on that? We'll start with Mark.
I'm very happy to say that moving to Shop-Ware has given me more confidence in exiting the business. It's transparent. All my people appreciate it. They thrive on it, and the customers love it. Everything we've shared with them. I didn't want to leave them with the decision of moving to a new shop management system. I made that because I want to exit and be able to view it anywhere from the world. And everyone is on board here with it. Frank, what do you have to say?
Well, everybody's going to leave their shop one way or another. You're going to leave with a plan or without a plan. And if you're truly planning on exiting, you should plan on exiting with the best year you've ever had, with the best sales you've ever had, with the best team you've ever had, with the best software you've ever had, with the best parts you've ever had, with the best equipment you've ever had, because there's nothing worse than having your shop not sell because you decided to go in this 5-year trajectory downward where you didn't keep up the equipment, didn't keep up the technology. So my argument would be, if you're truly looking to exit, do it with a well thought out plan that puts you on top so you can get the most value. I'll refer to a book I read that really impacted me. It was called How to Run Your Business So You Can Leave It in Style. And it was really profound, because are you leaving in a body bag or are you leaving with a plan? Because you are leaving at some point somewhere along the line. And the question is, what are you leaving behind?
Alex, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I'd just say that we were with one shop management system for many, many, many years, and were resistant to change. And then we made the change, and we ended up with a system that just didn't work. And so I was very resistant to switch to Shop-Ware because we had made a change just 3 years prior to that. But I am so glad that we made the change because I truly feel like Shop-Ware will do whatever we need it to do, not only today, but 10 years from now, because Shop-Ware evolves as this field evolves, and y'all are always open to suggestions and making changes. And I feel like when it does come time to exit this business, it will be in good hands, and whoever takes over will be using Shop-Ware for years to come. It's actually, being a Bosch Service Center and being in this program early, it's one of the best things that Bosch has ever brought to me.
Agreed.
Awesome. Great. Well, I guess that concludes our webinar and everyone can just start. No. All right. All right. So thanks, guys. Next question. You know, a lot of people say the cost is a lot higher than what I'm using. And I just don't see the cost versus the value change. Like, okay, like it's just what Shop-Ware is more expensive, what I'm using for, and I'm sure some of you came from, maybe some people are saying my monthly subscription is cheaper, or I've already bought my system, right? It's an on-prem system. I paid for it all. Now I just pay for support and I just don't see it. Bill, do you want to handle that one?
Yeah, I could take that one. You know, I had a legacy system that I owned and had no monthly cost involved in it. I could update it at will, you know, every 2 to 3 years as I felt like it. But you know, it's a little bit of an obstacle to get over, but the amount of time that we've saved writing estimates has more than paid up for the extra costs that we've incurred with monthly subscriptions. So it was something that we had to let go of, but it helped us speed up everything at the shop that much more, from writing estimates to getting parts ordered to cashing out customers. It's really sped up the entire process immensely.
So you're saying that increased efficiency
Absolutely.
has led to, can you, without putting you on the spot, can you put a number around it? Can you say how many hours you think, or how long, what took you X number of minutes to write an estimate, or did this to do that? Can you put something around that?
Well, I mean, one of the biggest time savers, I mean, I know that Frank and we talked about it before, but you know, you have one of those jobs that you see frequently that has many parts on it. And the ability to go in and not have to rewrite that estimate, just to have it at a click of a button and pre-populate with all the information that you already need in it, saves you more than a half hour of time just on one ticket. It's very, very powerful software and saves a lot of time.
Great. Awesome. Thank you, guys. You know,
I could take that even a step further. I had one of those programs that I owned that I paid a lot of money for to own it, but had so many problems that I had to pay for the monthly support just so I wouldn't get taken to the bank every time I called for help. And what I needed to do was find a program that didn't lock me into a server that would outdate, need to be replaced, because that's where we were at. We had a SQL 8 server, worked great, was a really great tool for intershop access to different programs and whatever. But I was faced with an $8,000 upgrade, not including the IT support ongoing. And basically, by going to a cloud-based program, you eliminate all of that, and they take care of the service. They take care of the backups. They take care of the information. For me, that was a huge advantage to getting off of the, I own it, it's all my data and all my stuff.
You know, that's a great segue into a next objection that people get, and this is common. Is, you know, I don't know, I don't want to be in the cloud. I don't know if I want my shop management system in the cloud. I don't want to depend upon the internet. You know, I don't want my data out there. I'm just, you know, I want it all housed just where I have complete control of it. Alex, any thoughts on that?
You know, I was a little bit hesitant about going to the cloud originally, but it's really, it's awesome. As was just mentioned, you know, you're updating your server every few years, and I mean, just what you save on that alone. And I honestly don't think we've ever been down for more than 5 or 10 minutes. And we keep a cellular backup, but you know, fortunately for us, we've only had to use it maybe once for about 5 minutes, because our our landline internet is good, and I just, it hasn't been an issue. I like it. I'm not worried about my data. I have full trust that you guys are not going to do anything with my data.
Anybody else? Frank, something to
Yeah.
add?
So I had to pay for backup to back up my files all the time, right? I had to pay for that service separate. So that was kind of in the cloud because it was automated at night to back up off-site. Because am I the only one that used those big zip drives, those big plastic, we used to plug them in, do the backup, sit there and wait for it, and then take it and then get busy and then forget it. So our backup isn't off-site. There's a lot to be said for not having to worry about that anymore. And I think everything is on the cloud. Everything is on the cloud. You can't you're not going to avoid it. There's a lot of security there. I was very reluctant to having a cloud-based program until I had a ransomware attack one Thanksgiving. And what it cost me to get that recovered and fixed, and we had lingering problems still from that on the server, was a lot more expensive than a monthly subscription. And the headaches, just being down and no data and getting it recovered, absolute nightmare. So
Got
Yeah, I
it.
could
Yeah.
take it a little bit further too. I had one of those hardware, I had mirroring disk drives, and I experienced a hard drive failure on my primary one. And then long and behold, the backup copy, it corrupted that whole thing because it was backing up the bad backup. So, having everything in the cloud and redundant away from us, and I believe it's Amazon that you guys use, right, for AWS servers, and
Yep.
gives us complete security and confidence that the stuff is always there when we need it. And to Frank's point too, with the ransomware, I don't feel like that's a threat for us in the shop. If we had a hardware issue where somebody took over control of our hardware, we'd throw it out and get a new computer, relatively inexpensive, and keep rolling. And then the other thing too with being in the cloud is remote access. So anytime I'm on vacation, away from my the shop for a couple hours and they need me to look at something, it's very easy to hop on my phone and see everything as if I was sitting in the shop. So it gives you complete freedom to go about your life and not be tied to the store so that you can monitor what's going on.
Good.
I'll
Thanks,
step
guys.
in here for a second. I found myself being the IT guy, and that's not a position I want to take anymore. And as I exit, I don't want to recruit one. And I'm very comfortable being in the cloud. The hardware, as we all know, has been reduced dramatically. And I agree, easy access from anywhere. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, Mark. That will kind of take us into a question, though, that you had said you would speak to. We'll let you go first. As a shop that is well established and been around for a while, you tend to have one of the excuses we get is my technicians are older. I don't want to deal with their mumbling and grumbling. They already know what we're doing. They're not super computer literate. I don't want to go paperless. The techs are the ones that I'm going to get the biggest pushback from. How do you handle that? What are your thoughts on that? What did you do? Give us your thoughts on that.
Are you directing that to me?
Yeah, you're the old guy.
Well, we took away the paper. That made it easy. It was everyone. It was like throwing a light switch. And within a couple of days, everyone transformed to computer literacy. No objections. They found out they weren't walking to the office anymore. They weren't stopping by another workstation. They weren't sharing pieces of paper or losing pieces of paper or complaining about paper. So it's been a big plus for us. Communication is two-way at all times, or I could say transparent throughout the whole shop. That's been a big plus, but is literally throwing a light switch.
So you just pulled the Band-Aid off?
Bingo. you know, and there was no wound behind it.
Yeah, I always think it's interesting, and again, with the caveat that I don't own a shop, where I hear, or I've been in shops and people are saying my technicians, they're not computer literate, and then they pick up a $3,000 scan tool,
Scanner.
yeah,
Mhm.
and run an, and they're showing me what they're doing, and I'm like, this looks pretty complex to me. So I appreciate that answer. Anybody else want to chime in on having a tech base and moving them over, how you went about doing that?
We actually went paperless before we went digital, before we had digital inspections. And we did it to solve other problems, that paper getting lost, handwriting that was indecipherable, notes that weren't getting transferred over correctly. So we went paperless a long time ago, but being digital and paperless is a total game changer. So when I hear a shop owner tell me, the technicians, and then just fill in the blank, my first question is, who's in charge? Right. And when I coach a shop, that's the first question I ask: who's in charge? We cannot allow the tail to wag the dog. So changes that the shop makes is for the advancement of the shop ahead of the competition. And it's to be in the eyes of the customer as a leading, you're leading the pack in the way you're communicating with me. You're communicating with me the way I want to be communicated with. And what I'm finding is most shop owners are projecting their own fears and blaming the staff. And we went through some very difficult changes. I had one gentleman who struggled opening emails, the company email, and responding. He honestly struggled. He couldn't remember how to get into the email, couldn't remember how to send emails. He didn't make it. So that's going to happen. And the one thing that is very, very constant in life is change. And the one thing everybody hates is change. And the world around us is changing faster than sometimes we can keep up with it. So don't succumb to your own fears, and don't let the fears of those around you dictate how you run your business. You've got to advance. You got to keep moving forward in everything that you're doing.
Thanks. Appreciate that, guys. Here's one, Bill, that you said you were going to handle. I've got a small shop, 4 bays, I'm 6 bays, I'm 8 bays. It's pretty easy to manage with the current system that I'm having. I don't need all this complexity. I just don't see the value in moving, to Shop-Ware because because of the size of my shop.
Well, before I answer that question, I'll just jump back to the paperless issue as well. I mean, we completely hardly print anything once we switched over to Shop-Ware. But even one step further is with the alignment reports and stuff from our Hawkeye Elite liner. We're able to take that document, instead of printing the hard copy to give to the customer, we can upload it and attach it to the invoice inside of Shop-Ware, where it lives forever in its history. So there's no worrying about the paper trail there, especially with the wholesale body accounts that we have, body shops that always need that for their audit records. So as far as a small shop, I don't think it matters really small or large. Shop-Ware has packages to fit all of them, but it helped us speed up and consolidate from where we had our old system and a separate DVI into one system, because we had issues with communication between the 2 separate programs. This allowed us to do everything all in one solution. And as a small shop, we didn't have the downtime to wait. We have limited resources, and we can't stand around waiting for cars on the rack for these other softwares to communicate with each other. So that really helped us speed up the processes too through the shop.
Awesome. Thanks. All right, here's one that Mark said he would handle, and we get this often. This is very particular to Bosch. Don't tell me what software I have to use in my business. It's my business. I'm using my software or what I want to use. I don't want to be told what to do.
Well, we all entered this business as what some of us did as independents. We remain independent, but here we've joined this group, this Bosch group. And Bosch has threaded it not to be they don't want to look like a big family. They don't want to engage us in too many requirements, but they're trying to standardize if I'm correct. You know, there hasn't been a true explanation why they're requiring the eventual transition to Shop-Ware. You know, and early on, and remember these legacy shops of the Bosch Service Center, we were required to buy certain tools. And many of us still, it stings a little bit knowing that we have some of these tools that are sitting on the shelf that we never even touched. But Shop-Ware is different. That's a tool, it's a business tool, you know, it's a technology tool that we can always use in the future, and it's constantly changing. So I've been grateful to be part of the Bosch network. And I think people start understanding that it's to their benefit to upgrade to a new shop management system, regardless of their many, many excuses.
Alex, I saw you nodding your head certainly when he was talking about the tools. Do you have any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, just, I mean, being a legacy shop, I too was required to buy a lot of things that were put on the shelf and never used and eventually thrown away. And it was multiple thousands of dollars. And that's why I said earlier, I really do feel like Shop-Ware is the best thing that Bosch has ever brought to me. And I wasn't pressured to move into Shop-Ware, although that may be where it's going, but it was, you know, I was asked to look at it, and I made my own decision, and it's been a very good decision.
Awesome, thanks. All right, another one we get, and anybody can field this one, is I'm just too busy. I'm too busy to learn another system. I'm too busy to make this change. We'll let Mark go since he's the one that's laughing. And then, and I've been on the sales side of things, both not here directly at Shop-Ware, but other places. And I know my response to that, but I'm curious to hear yours.
Well, we can use that excuse for so many things, you know, an aging knee. Well, I'm too busy to go to physical therapy. You know, I'm too busy to employ, you know, look for new coworkers. I'm too busy. But in the end, it frees up so much time. You know, I do have time to go to physical therapy. It makes me a better skier. It makes me a better bicyclist. If I enjoy, you know, that free time that it's cleared up, same with Shop-Ware. You know, it's freed up so much time, and I can remotely access everything with complete freedom. You know, so that excuse, I'm too busy. No, I'm not too busy for the future. I'm planning on it.
Well said. I don't know if really we can really add to that. I think that kind of is that kind of sums it up. Here's one, Frank, maybe you can handle this one. You know, my current system is adding some other capabilities really soon. They're going to do this and do that and then do this, and then pretty much I'll have everything I need, and I don't need to switch to Shop-Ware because everything that I need is going to be happening relatively soon.
Yeah, I've heard those promises from my old operators too. So, and that was really frustrating because I prevented from moving to a newer system for a long time because of the promises made, and it's almost like they're patching it, right? So, okay, everybody in the world is using tablets. Let me come up with this tablet patch, and it you know, it works like a stone and chisel setup. And then, you know, oh, let me do this on top of that. Let me do this on top of that, and it never truly works correctly. I can't understand waiting for a promise to come out when something's already available. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And I want to say something about being too busy. If you're too busy to run your business because of the work you're doing in the business, you need to hire somebody to do the work. That's where the freedom comes. Hiring the right people to free you up to make those business decisions. Because if you're too busy to sit back and catch your breath, and you're probably understaffed. So I encourage you guys to fix that. Sorry, I had to throw that out there.
Anyone else have anything to add on this one? All right.
I think you were talking a little bit about the learning curve there, and you know, the few people that I've brought on to staff, I gotta say that I think the learning curve on this software versus our previous software is probably about half the amount of time. It's very, very quick and easy and intuitive for somebody to get on and get up to speed really quickly to be able to be effective in their job here. So
Thanks, Bill. All right, here's another one for you. You know, Shop-Ware doesn't have a CRM. And I've been using, let's say Mitchell CRM. I've got my website, my social, all of that, all of my stuff with that. All of my stuff is automated. And I just, there's no CRM. Therefore, I'm not interested in switching.
CRMs, I mean, that's the lifeblood of DeBoer's Auto and in a lot of shops, I would think. You got to get back and recommunicate to those people, bring them back in the door, and having that information with Shop-Ware. I know they integrate with a number of them. I use kind of something that's not really industry specific, but has the ability to move the data from Shop-Ware into it that I can use in email and call those people and get them back in the door. So CRMs, I mean, maybe you have the list of them, David, that all integrate, but there's a number of them that do. So it really shouldn't be a concern for anybody.
Anyone else have anything to add on that one?
I was just going to say that my old system, the one that I lived with for 3 years, had CRM in it, but it was so poorly done that I never used it. And it just seems to me like someone cannot be an expert at everything. Shop-Ware does a very good job at what they do, and the people I use for CRM do a very good job at that.
Yeah, I mean, and I would agree, Alex, and that's what I would say is we are not in the CRM business, and that's what we don't, I almost think it's, might be a bad parody, but, like you guys are bad at repairing motorcycles. Well, you don't repair motorcycles, right? You repair cars. We're not going into the CRM business. That's not what we do. We do shop management, and there are lots of great partners that Shop-Ware works with that provide great CRM solutions that many of you guys are using. So I think that's the way I would approach it as well. One question, we've got some other ones to get into, but we have one from the audience, and I think Frank, you'll probably take this one, or maybe someone else can take this one. We'll see. What was data? I'm worried about the data migration. I'm worried about my data getting transferred over. What does that process look like? Does anyone want to speak to the data transfer? And this actually ties into a larger one, and maybe someone can answer it all together, was I'm worried about data transfer, and I don't even want to do this because I've got a ton of canned jobs and a ton of legacy stuff, and I've got my customers for the last 30 years, and I want to make sure all that information gets transferred over. And Frank, you
Yes.
look very excited, so we'll let you go first on that one.
Yeah, because I struggled with that too, right? Because I had like 17,000 customers in my database, and the truth is most of those were dead, gone, or not welcome back. So you really can't get hung up on canned jobs that are 30 years old for cars that aren't going to come in anymore. I was really proud of my canned jobs for my timing chains on M116 and 117 V8 Mercedes that would jump time all the time. And these cars would drop like flies left and right. We do valve jobs and we were good at it. I don't think we've seen one in 6 or 7 years. It's actually jumped time. So why do I still need that information? So you really need to get out of your old habits, look forward, and what is truly relevant. You probably have 3 years worth of data that's truly, truly relevant. As far as the transfer, we switched twice in 1 year software. So we went from, the system we've been using for over 10 years to another system that did not work as advertised. And then eventually made the decision to go with Shop-Ware. So we've had to do data migrations a couple times, and these people do it all the time. It's not like you're the first shop they're migrating data for, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, I could speak to that a little bit too. I don't think there was anybody more nervous about switching the data and getting it over than Tommy over there. When anybody knows Tommy, he was sweating it when he was doing our transfer, and really kind of put me at ease. But all that data went over seamlessly. It's since been improved to display better in the history section than we originally started. But, being that we owned our old system, we were able to keep that running And for a period of time, probably for maybe the first year that we were on it, we would go back and cut and paste the history into the note section in Shop-Ware on the new work orders when they were started. And really helped the techs without having to hunt around to find that information, but helped us plow through that transition real easy. We didn't lose any data at all.
All right, on with this one. Someone wanted to talk about how does inventory transfer? Our last transfer bought and alternate part numbers as part numbers. We have multiple inventory items. Can someone speak to or have experience with inventory transfer?
I could tell you that we had a couple challenges with some of our items came over with a zero cost. So we had to we worked with Shop-Ware on that. We were actually able to give them a list of our inventory from our old system. And I haven't followed up with the team to see how it works so they can make those corrections. But, I think anything that happens that doesn't happen as expected has a fix. So just be prepared for that. I don't know what your system was that you brought over, but, things are going to happen that nobody expects. That doesn't matter who you deal with or what you're doing. When you're working on that twin turbo BMW with the turbos in the valley for the first time, you're going to have something happen you didn't expect to have happen. When that Ford comes in for the timing chain that, should have lasted more than 40,000 miles, something's going to happen that you didn't expect to have happen. It's no different with anything else. So, whatever does happen, it can be fixed. I'm a firm believer.
Awesome, thank you. I appreciate that. All right, let's move on to our next one. Let's see. I don't like the motor labor guide.
Don't use it.
Yeah. There's a number of them out there. You can just look at them all. I really don't see why that would be an issue for anybody. I mean, we bump everything at our shop anyway because we live in the Rust Belt. So if you don't like the motor labor guide and you think it's underestimating, then just build in a cushion for yourself.
And I believe Shop-Ware's sensitive to some of the feedback they've gotten on that, and they're looking at integrating other labor guides.
Yeah, I mean, we now have Mitchell, right? And
Yeah.
so if you don't like motor, you can now use Mitchell, and then someone will say they don't like Mitchell, and we'll build something else. So baby steps.
Yeah.
All right, let's see here. So one of the ones, and I get this, is, it says some shop management companies are going to call me. They call me every week. They want to check in, teach me new things, and answer questions. The rep that signed me up is the rep that continues to talk to me. I want a relationship with my salesperson, and Shop-Ware doesn't do that. And so now I have to go through a support organization. I don't have sort of a single point of contact, and I like that the other way. And I think, Mark, you said you would have you would head this one up to begin with.
Well, I'd like multiple people to contact. It's educated in the shop management system. My salesperson is incredible, but I know to go to support because support fields a lot more questions than one salesperson. Everything I've experienced in Shop-Ware support has been golden. Immediate responses after hours, immediate responses first thing in the morning, and a follow-up. And if I don't respond, I usually get a second follow-up to see if the problem's been resolved. So that single person, it's just like myself. I want to remove myself from the office so I'm not the single person of contact. I stay in the background so I don't become that single person. And Shop-Ware has done a great job of having a team of support people that I really appreciate. Thanks.
And I appreciate that.
What
Alex,
Mark said,
or-
yes.
no.
What Mark said, absolutely.
All right. And yes, there was one question, switching gears again, that did come into support. Frank, and you'll probably take this one. Salvador said, how well does it work with auto vitals? And we've only got 20 minutes, so don't take the rest of the hour, but I'll let you field this one.
I will do my best. So in my inspection sheet, those of you who've used Auto Vitals knows how flexible the inspection sheet is. I put in all of my actions as a canned job from Shop-Ware. When I hit the update work order button, it automatically creates all of the recommended jobs in Shop-Ware. Couple seconds. All the notes, all the pictures transfer over. That is the most seamless integration I've ever seen. I've worked closely with Auto Vitals on a lot of this stuff. It's the most seamless integration I've ever seen. So it is absolutely amazing, and it's an absolute incredible time saver. Anybody who's gone to Shop-Ware to add a job, it can take some time when you have a large ticket you have to build. So it's really very, very refreshing to see how well Shop-Ware and Auto Vitals gets along.
Awesome. Thank you.
How'd I do?
Yeah, that was the shortest explanation of Auto Vitals you've ever given. So yeah, man, you
Definitely is. Yes, sir.
Stakes on the way. All right, let's see here what else we have coming in. We've had some other questions as well. So this is kind of similar to one before. You know, I get or actually let's take this one. One of them is I'm surprised at this one. I have a lot of analytics and a lot of reporting that I get with my legacy shop management system, my old shop management system, and I'm hesitant to switch over because of all this reporting that I have.
Go ahead, Frank.
Alex, you're smiling. Do you want to chime in, or?
I was just going to say, as far as analytics, there's no system that's going to compare with Shop-Ware's analytics. I mean, when you dig into it and realize the capabilities they have of just about anything you want to know, I've never seen a system that came anywhere close to comparing with what you do with analytics.
Can you talk about some of the reports and some of the things just briefly that you look at that you rely on within Shop-Ware?
Well, I used to be part of a group where we had to build a report every month and report that in every month. And I would spend hours doing it and do a terrible job at it. And you know, the KPIs and the different things they want to know, they're all in Shop-Ware. I don't have to look for them. It just works.
Anyone else?
I have never in my life been able to, in less than 2 minutes, look at the top 5 brands in gross profit, the top 5 brands in total sales. And I could drill down by the vehicle model, which ones I'm making the most or the least money on, so I can make an adjustments ever in my life with any program, not without downloading 14 spreadsheets, analyzing them, sorting them, and trying to decipher the data. And it's all pretty colored pictures too, so that's helpful.
All right, I'll let you handle this one too, Frank, because I think you talked about it, but somebody was saying, I just switched shop management systems 3 months ago, 5 months ago, a year ago. I feel like we just have it together now, and now you're telling me to switch again.
Sorry. I did that. I switched in February, and I kind of felt like it was a train wreck. The program did not deliver what I felt I needed. Canned jobs was hugely important to me. Nothing irritates me more than seeing somebody replace front brake pads and rotors 19 times every single time they go to write a repair order. And the past services and the ability to write a canned job that is vehicle specific in Shop-Ware is enormous. It's painful. It was very painful for my team. Some of them are still griping a little bit, but we'll deal with that later. That's the nature of change, right? It's hard, it's difficult. I found that Shop-Ware had too many advantages for me as a shop owner, where I could remotely manage and see what's going on. It's not the worst thing that could happen. Okay, 3 changes, that might be worse.
Yes. And I see another question coming in, Cynthia. So yeah, it does integrate with the majority of the accounting softwares that's out there. I don't know, is anyone on here right now using, Frank, what are you integrated with?
QuickBooks.
Anybody using something other than QuickBooks? Okay. But yeah, it does integrate with a ton of systems out there. All right, so let's continue. I'm trying to look at the ongoing questions that are coming in. Let's see.
Best thing we ever did was use back office to automatically push the data into QuickBooks, by the way. Fix so many key entries problems.
All right. It doesn't sync with MB BMW applications or industry tools. What do I do about that?
What does that mean?
I'm not sure.
If you're talking about like the way the Bosch scanner integrates where it uploads your quick scans and stuff like that. So I don't imagine any factory tool would integrate with any shop management system ever. They're not going to let you have access. They're not going to open any kind of API. So it's never going to. Nobody's going to do that.
All right. I'm going to keep taking a look at our questions here. Let me see what else is coming in here. Hold on one second. All right, let's see. Oh, I use another DVI, or I'm using something else for DVI, or I don't like the DVI. Looks like almost everyone I think on this panel wanted to speak to DVI and Shop-Ware. So I guess Mark, I'll let you go first.
DVI is sort of I have mixed emotions about it. I'm confident that we use enough of it in Shop-Ware. I have friends that are down on in Bellevue or Seattle, tech centers. People are demanding very elaborate DVIs and they thrive on it. But that's in a tech world. Up here, it's a different population. Enough information that it doesn't confuse them. I'm happy with what we're currently using.
Bill?
Yeah, we use the Shop-Ware platform for our DVI. It works great. The thing that I love the most about it is that, you know, sometimes the advisors, they may forget to mention something to a customer. And if the tech notes are in there, you get full transparency across the entire platform. So that customer can't say that they were never really informed about it. At the end of the day, we still have a leg to stand on, that we had it in writing and it was given to them as well. So I appreciate that piece of the platform immensely to document everything.
Alex, what about you?
We also use the Shop-Ware platform for DVIs, and it works very well for us because we're able to build our own custom sheet, and we don't get overly complicated, but it gives the tech the freedom to elaborate on anything that he sees that is potential area that where the customer would need to be noted about that. And as far as you were talking about earlier, like, doesn't integrate with factory scan tools, et cetera. No, it doesn't. But, you know, and that was initially a concern of mine, but you know, my techs, when they do the DVIs, I'm always amazed at some of the things they've attached, and they've figured out on their own how to attach them. The guys that I thought might not be technical, they'll really amaze you with what. I'm like, wow, that's really cool. How'd you attach that factory scan report? And it's just not that difficult.
Yeah, I think it speaks to the ease of the system and the way it can adapt to stuff. I mean, that's what we do with our scan tool data as well. The guys email out a PDF and attach it to the work orders. It's really simple.
All right, I'm going to put this one back on you and see if there's stuff we haven't covered. So obviously you guys have all answered questions, but now we'll just kind of go across the board, or if someone can speak up if you have a good response. Like, what were some of the things you considered and some of the things that went through your head that you're going to talk yourself out of and say, you know what, I'm not going to switch because of this? Like, what, if you guys want to point out some of your own challenges that you wrestled with before you moved over? I think, you know, we've covered a lot of what other people said, but I'm sure what really is the things that kept you up at night making a decision are probably similar to what is keeping some other shops with some issues. Does anyone want to chime in on that one?
For me, go ahead. Go ahead, Alex.
Go ahead, Alex.
You know, my initial reaction was, no, not again. There's no way I'm changing again. I'm not going through this again. And I was quite honestly, you know, the weekend before going live with Shop-Ware, I was a little bit terrified because there were just so many things that I could just see turning into a disaster. But really, inside of a week, 2 weeks tops, everyone was working easily in Shop-Ware, and there just weren't that many questions that came up that we weren't able to figure out or support was very helpful with. And I do have a service writer who's just very good at innately being able to figure that out. And he pitched in and trained the rest of us.
Similar for me. I had 10 years ago, 15 years ago, whatever it was, maybe 20, we went from a DOS system to, the one that replaced that. And I made it a point not to be the one to learn and train the program, because the first program we had, I learned it, I trained everybody on it. And hey, how do I do this again? Hey, how do I do that again? Hey, where's that report? Hey, where's this button? So I made it a point from then on that somebody else in the shop would have to be the key person. And my manager's done an outstanding job in the 2 changeovers for us, implementing the changes, implementing the training, and keeping everybody accountable. So for me, it was easy. Hey, we're switching, go figure it out, kind of.
Yeah, for me, I dreaded changing. I was on the same platform for 20 years, and it's expensive to change, and I don't want to have to go through multiple changes. I just want to switch once and be done. So I took a look at Shop-Ware hard, and then I came back the following year after deciding not to pursue it at that point. And I caught Carolyn demoing it on the ASOG group in a live Facebook. It's probably still out there. But the methodology and how she designed the software, once I got to understand it from her point of view and what she was thinking, that this wasn't just a computer that's going to print off invoices at the end of the day. This is something that's going to be very adaptable. It's going to change the way we do business in our industry. And the amount of changes that it had gone through from the first time I looked at it to the second time I looked at it the year later, really convinced me that she was all in, the team was all in, and the software was going places. So that's what really helped me convince to switch over to it, and very happy I did so.
All right, thanks. I want to try and squeeze in as much as we can. We've only got 5 minutes left, but there was another question which, someone just said, my shop is underperforming, and I don't feel like, I don't feel like any changes right now are going to help us fix that problem, right? Or my shop is not doing well, and therefore I'm not going to switch to Shop-Ware right now because I have to focus on making my shop better. And I'm pretty sure all of you are going to answer this question the same way, but I'll let you guys take it.
Why is it underperforming? Is it software struggle? That'd be my first question. Of course, that's what this panel's about, but I run a really, really good shop. I get people from all over the country to come visit our shop to see the frank way, so to speak. We have struggles. We have issues we have to deal with all the time. So I don't know if that's valid. So you have to kind of look at everything that's ahead of you as another opportunity. What's going on? Where's my roadblock? Where's my bottleneck? What do I need to fix? How do I make it better? How do I better engage with my customers? There's a lot to be said, for improving transparency, customer education, and the bottom line of your business being digital. There really is. There's a lot to be said for it. And the ability to communicate with the customers the way we do, it's just a game changer. But back in 100 years ago, when I first started working on cars, it was, hey, John, can you come down to the shop, take time off from work, drive your butt down here so I can show you what's on your car? It's that bad. Then we got to the point where, okay, I can take a picture and then send it to him somehow, some way. It's kind of convoluted. Then we got to the point where now I can text him a picture. Now we're at the point where here's the picture, here's the arrow pointing to the exact problem, here's the note on the picture, here's the explanation of what you're looking at, here's what's wrong, why, and what you need to do about it without ever saying a word. So whatever your issues are, fix them. Let's go.
One of the things that we were struggling with the matrix that we had in our old system, we didn't realize how underperforming our parts matrix was. And we switched over and turned on the GP optimizer inside of Shop-Ware, and it helped us climb from parts percentage in the mid 40s up to the mid 50s, even breaking out of the mid 50s now. And that's just straight GP money that goes right to the bottom line to help
That's
that
awesome.
performance and put cash in the bank. So it was a huge growth opportunity for us. And the tool is real easy. I mean, it just runs in the background. The other things that it allows us to do is, it completely hides all the parts. If you want to, you can have it, different levels of display on the repair order for the customers, but we bid everything as a complete job. And our old system didn't give us the ability to do that. So even at the end of the day, it still called out the individual parts cost and left that open for a discussion to get beat up on, where Shop-Ware doesn't. So it's really helped us out in that respect.
Thanks. Well, I just want to thank everybody for being here. I know you guys are busy, and running your businesses, and obviously you have your own things going on. So I really appreciate everyone being here. I think this was really great. And hopefully, if we can help alleviate some of the struggles that other owners are going through, then that will be beneficial to everybody. So I want to thank you guys for being here. I know it takes a lot of time out of your day, and we've had a couple calls to prepare for this. So it was awesome. Thanks very much. I wish everyone a good rest of the week and finish the month strong. I don't know how much longer we have to hit quota. It looks like today and tomorrow. So that you guys get back out there and hit those numbers. But thanks for being here, everybody. I really appreciate it.
Be well.
Thanks.
All right.
Thanks,
Take
David.
care, you guys. Thank you. Bye.